This is Things You Might Not Have Heard. I am Jay Clifton Payne, and today queued up are 10 news stories from the weekend, vetted by U.S. Conversational, covering information, politics, current events, and pop culture news. We're talking Volodymyr Zelensky. Yeah, that really happened. Pete Rose is back in the news, oddly enough, and you guys want it? Oh, you're going to get it. You can see him today, and if you're watching the video, that picture is just so beautiful to me. John Cena with the heel turn happening before WrestleMania. Now, we'll explain the vetting process in just a minute when we do all the headlines. So we'll get that to you, how these stories get to be picked for you today. But first, let me remind you that our website, our home online, if you will, is the Conversation Project's website. And this is theconversationproject.com. That's how to get to our home for all information you need to know about us and for full offerings of the Conversation Project. Plus, you can email us at theconversationinbox@gmail.com anytime you need to get the chit chat going for what's happening. Now, as I said, 10 stories for today. Today happens to be Monday, the 3rd of March, 2025. And if the February seemed like it was way too long, it probably did. It was only 28 days, but those 28 days packed a whole wallop in there going forward. And if you think that Friday was sort of a fever dream, well, story number one is this thing that happened on Friday that most people are just still shaking their heads on 3 days later. But Trump and Vance clash with Zelensky in heated Oval Office dispute. This did happen. You didn't dream this up. This isn't some sort of Hollywood movie. This is what really happened at the Oval Office on Friday, where U.S. President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had a meeting where the intention was the final signing of the document that would be the United States would get control of a good chunk of mineral rights for the Ukrainians. Now, this went back and forth from a shakedown saying, hey, we want $500 million right now to something that more of agreement to help them actually develop, because some of the thought process and the development, some of the deposits were essentially found 50 years ago. So they're based on old maps, old mines, and a lot of this stuff is in Russian territory. So what they do about that one. However, in the middle of the opening stuff, just in the chit chat that's in front of the cameras, all of a sudden there was a turn. I'd say this would be a heel turn, but the heel's already there, where Donald Trump was just kind of going on about whatever. And then J.D. Vance sort of hit off at Zelensky saying, you didn't think this today. And then Trump went, that old guy, that other guy gave you a bunch of money and you're not thankful for us. And it turned into a shouting match where the bait was set and Mr. Zelensky, he fell for it. He went along with it. Call it pride, call it trying to defend himself, call it just not actually seeing this one coming, because no one really saw this coming. We thought he was going to be okay. We thought he was going to just sort of, nod his head, do as what he can, put his head down and sign this document and go for it so that he'd have some safety, some guarantees. He's pushing for safety guarantees for his nation. It didn't happen. There was a shout fest. You saw what happened. And then after the cameras left, instead of having a meeting to continue to talk, Volodymyr Zelensky was escorted out of the building, where he went next day to London to talk to the British Prime Minister and other folks who are now going to vow to do more for the Ukrainians, even though they're technically, by the numbers and standpoints for news reports, which you guys don't actually believe, they're doing more by volume, even though they're not doing as much as the actual states are directly. So that happened. All that happened. All that actually happened. That's just sort of the deal is that it happened. It may feel like a weird dream that happened as we wrap up February with the longest time in history for any politician doing anything. I think Trump can take that one to heart. But it happened. And we rolled into March for a fairly quiet weekend, although there's a lot of essentially commentary and discussion on what happened. But it did happen. Story number 2 today. We're getting a jump on this story where we're finding out after South Carolina and North Carolina, still many places still dealing with fixing up things from a recent hurricane, now have to fix things up, or at least be threatened to fix things up from a fire. The headline for story number 2. Brush fires, evacuations in North and South Carolina amid dry, windy conditions. Dry air, strong winds are the perfect storm for wildfires, and that's what North Carolina and South Carolina are dealing with right now. Multiple brush fires erupting, forcing hundreds to flee their homes. Fire officials report that the blazes spread rapidly due to gusty conditions and an ongoing drought, making containment a challenge for the moment. In Asheville, for example, entire neighborhoods have been evacuated with emergency crews working around the clock to keep the flames from reaching the residential areas. The scene is eerily familiar to what had been before in this area, and of course, what we're dealing in California, charred landscapes, billowing smoke, and families scrambling to safety. Crews there in the East Coast are stretched thin, just like the West Coast, with departments in both states having called in battle forces from other places to get in there. Now, the wind is the big issue. The wind is the culprit here. Shifting gusts makes it harder to predict where the flames are going to go next, so they have to sit and wait. In Charlotte, for example, the controlled burn actually went out of control, triggering evacuations nearby in counties because what they had under control, the wind picked up and turned it into something deadly. In Greenville, fire officials warn residents to stay alert and prepare for potential emergency orders because the winds are what you're afraid of. Not so much the fire because you can see it. It's the winds that can change the direction of the fires at any time. They're still assessing the actual damage. It's very early right now, but some homes and some businesses have been in jeopardy. Some have been damaged and destroyed in the process. Climate experts are warning that dry, windy conditions like this aren't going away anytime soon. So this world is a tinderbox, or the Carolinas specifically right now, is what we're going to have for a while until there's enough sustained rain. One big rain doesn't fix it. Sustained rain to make the grounds and make the area a bit more moist, a bit more habitable, if you will. Less fire danger. It's going to be more fire danger. We're going to talk about the Texas measles outbreak. And so actually, there are outbreaks across the nation in various places, but Texas has this sort of target on it with the mass numbers and just the way it handles things. Right now, their outbreak is at 146 cases. That's what it was when we pulled this headline over the weekend. It's probably rounded up some more, but 146 actual documented cases confirmed and still rising in Texas. The health officials warned that the majority of the infections are hitting children and teens, many of whom were unvaccinated, which is the big problem. Schools and daycare centers are at the center of the concern because measles, highly contagious, highly easy to spread. So one kid has it and you don't know it. Many kids will have it as well. The outbreak was first detected in January and now spread across multiple counties in Texas, multiple spots across the nation as well. There are smaller places like New Mexico as well. It's overwhelming pediatric hospitals enforcing quarantines in affected areas in Texas and other places. And the big issue is the gaps in vaccination. Now, measles was essentially killed off, for lack of a better term, in the 2020s based on so many people having the vaccination around the world, especially here in this nation. Most people, it was basically at a 97% level where no one could catch it because there's enough people here that if it came here, it would basically null itself out with all the people who could not spread it or could not spread it very much. That has changed. It is different. It is not the same thing. So with rising cases, deal with a lot of people and their hesitancy to get vaccines in general, this one in particular, apparently, it's a thing. So the symptoms, fever, cough, runny nose are the early symptoms. The later symptoms are pain and pneumonia, and of course swelling, and of course the bumps and red things all over your body. At some point, this thing can lead to death, either by a brain swell or just the disease overtaking your body. This is very serious. If you are unvaccinated or if you know someone who is, please be wary of them in all situations. Flu season is still in full effect, and colds and sort of things are always there. But something like the measles is a very big deal for all of us right now. You didn't think we'd get around without any actual direct Trump stuff, did you? Now, we did have the dust up that was really a Vance thing, stepping up, puffing his chest out on Friday. But this is a Trump deal that may not be such a big deal, and also may be a big deal. Now, the comments we had when we talked about this on the weekend were the fact that, isn't there actually real work to do, and did he do anything? But Trump, the master of pardons, has one more pardon up his sleeve, maybe, for the all-time MLB hits leader, and that is Pete Rose. But President Donald Trump has an idea. He's announced his intention to issue a posthumous if you will, pardon for baseball legend Pete Rose, who passed away in September of last year at the age of 83. All-time hits leader at 4,256. We talked about that before, but banned from baseball permanently in 1989 for betting on games while managing the Cincinnati Reds. Now, the wording, semantics mean something, because when they say banned, he basically was said banned for life. We always said Pete Rose was banned for life. Well, now he's dead. So is he still banned? Is he banned forever or just for his natural life? His family has petitioned to go ahead and get him off that ban so they can actually get him in the Hall of Fame now that he can't celebrate or make money off of it. And Major League Baseball is thinking about it. But an announcement on Truth Social made about baseball, Donald Trump said lots of great things about Pete Rose, that he should be there. He has the most hits, most all these great runs, all these great actual talented awards. Why is he not in the Hall of Fame? Rob Manfred, the commissioner at Major League Baseball, said, maybe we'll think about it. We shall see. Of course, that submission to actually get him out of this ban was led by his lawyer and his daughter, who said it's been plenty of time. A lifetime ban should end at lifetime. Let's go for it. So we'll see if this thing actually plays out in the pardon. Now, the question about the pardon, what did Pete Rose actually do? Well, he did plead guilty to tax evasion, and he did spend 5 months for that. But that's basically it. And that's something that's, in the grand scheme of all things being done, not a very grand scheme. So we'll see. Will he get the pardon? Maybe. Will he get into the Hall of Fame? Maybe. Speaking of redemption stories, we are back with Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of New York, the state, wants to be your next mayor of the city, New York City, launching his political comeback campaign. Words not doing well for me today. On Saturday and Sunday, having a rally to talk about it. Announcing formally with a video that was about 17 minutes talking about the struggles that it would take to fix the city. And then, of course, he had to do some interviews talking about the struggles it took to get to where he was, from where he was, and the struggles will take to fix the cities in some big time rallies going yesterday, Sunday. Of course, he resigned from his actual job as being the governor of the full state after sexual harassment allegations. There were also some COVID complaints, but the sexual harassment allegations actually got to him. This adds a bit of complexity to what's happening in the city and in the state. Of course, I think there were 11 actual accusations that will get him, and he, basically said, I'm going to leave because of all the distractions or whatever. He also was starting to get backlash from his handling of COVID-19 deaths, specifically in nursing homes. For nursing homes, many people were sort of left to die in nursing homes when they didn't get the coverage in cases they needed to because of the early times of working through the COVID-19 virus protocols. That caught up to him, and along with all the harassment charges, he had to go. Now, it's not just a slam dunk because, one, he has to face the incumbent mayor, who is Mayor Eric Adams, who wants to take his job a little bit further. But first is deal with those federal charges that they're working to get pushed away because Trump's working on it. No one seems to really want to actually do that, like take them away officially, but they're working on it. There's also a couple other people who don't have a chance either. City Comptroller Brad Linder, also State Senator Jessica Ramos, and former Comptroller Scott Stringer. Of course, so crime, homelessness, and infrastructure issues are the things he's going to work on for New York City, emphasizing that the experience and readiness that he has as an executive will make him ready to tackle the city's challenges, including the fact that he is not dropping a single dime from the police budget. If anything, it's going up because we have to have this. A quote, I have learned from my mistakes, and I'm ready to serve. Endorsements from some big names and some flack from other names, including basically all the women who actually accused him of sexual harassment, says he's not fit for the job. But we will see what happens going forward. The actual primary is June the 24th. New York's kind of odd where everybody votes for it and people that are in the top 3 or 4 get a chance to run in runoffs. We shall get more understanding of how they do their elections in a few months, and we'll get more understanding of how things will play out in a few months. We're going to take a pause from the news. 5 stories down from the weekend, 5 more to go in just a moment. But right now, we're going to ask you a favor. We need you to like, share, and subscribe to the work we do to help us grow the News Nation, News Nerd Nation. News Nation is a whole other thing. The News Nerd Nation with what's happening inside of a conversation. This is not a monologue. This is a dialogue. This is a conversational thing. And we need more people engaged with the stories to make that happen. So we'll explain how engagement works at the end of this thing. We'll get past the headlines. But we need more people joining us together. We are right at the threshold for YouTube specifically at 1,900 subscribers. We're like 5 away. So you want to help us get there? We need you to do these things. Like the videos you're watching, like this one right here, or go to our website and see what other sources we have of the videos in and like them as well. So the algorithms will basically serve up our videos, our commentary, our audios to more folks to get more people to see it going forward. Also lets me know that I've got the right stories in the mix. I'm picking the right stories for you guys to talk about and chat going forward. Share this video or other pieces to other folks who are like-minded, who enjoy this type of news coverage, this type of commentary, things that get missed because the mainstream gets stuck on various stories. And what I believe is more or less balls and strikes, but my bit of my opinion, I will take. I don't sit on the fence. I have opinions, but I'll offer it up in a way to discuss back and forth. And I do a lot of back and forth with people who don't share my opinion, which I appreciate from you guys back and forth there. Share it with other like-minded folks. They may like it and grow us as well. If you're not getting this natively in your feeds, subscribe. Hit notifications if you want to know exactly when we're going live or when we're getting things out there. But subscribe so you can find us, come through your day. We post news articles in our feeds every hour or so that happens. But for our videos, as they come out sporadically here or there throughout the day, audios as well, you want to know when they come by. So subscribe so you don't miss out on them for you. Now, back to the news. Here's an interesting story. This may not be the highlighted story or the biggest story out there, but this is something that goes along the lines with what happened last week with the abrupt firings, I'm going to say firings, of folks at MSNBC as they're shifting their time. And today, specifically, with the abrupt brand new show, I have to my left the brand new morning updates for CNN as things were basically played out as they had their abrupt firings a few weeks ago. A executive producer for Kaitlan Collins' show on nighttime has left the show immediately, just left. She's done. She is overly stressed and can't deal with it anymore. This is Kristen Donnelly, the executive producer of CNN's The Source of Kaitlan Collins, resigning because of the brutal working hours that were adversely affecting her well-being. She joined CNN in 2017. She was at NBC News for a long time there. She left Thursday, surprising many colleagues, just basically writing the memo saying, "I'm out. Good luck. Thank you for the fish." This is in the middle of all the changes, all the shifting. Prime time is basically set, and we'll see how that rolls for a bit. But the shifting going on across the network and across people-wise to get things going. A lot of deals with declining ratings, which they all are doing, and a lot of competition from its rivals. Well, they're not all doing it. Fox News has ratings up. Everybody else is down, or non-starters like some of the things like OAN and Newsmax. News Nation actually up as well, but it's sort of lower tier, so they've got a ways to go. But despite the challenges, Collins' show is actually doing well in the 25 to 54 age demographic. It's not winning, but it's making a show for folks who want to see that and her in that slot. She's also working all day as a White House correspondent, so she's sitting in the actual chair when they let her in for the press conferences, when they let her in to talk to the president and folks like that. And then she comes in and does an hour show, which is produced by other folks. So the hard-working schedule for demands of the 24-hour news cycle and for her schedule itself, essentially working all day as a correspondent and turning it into a actual headliner for an anchor for an hour, was way too much for the actual producer, let alone we don't know exactly what's going on with the actual anchor. So Donnelly basically is done. And trust me, as a person who's been stressed out over the work doing producing for news stuff and just in general work as well, it's understandable. At some point, you physically can't do it, you mentally can't do it, and if you have a way to pull a parachute and jump, you jump. Our next story is an update, very sad update to the story we updated. It happened Thursday. We gave you a brief update on Friday. Over the weekend, we got more details because I had a chance to look at things. We still don't have real answers for the death of Gene Hackman and his wife, being Betsy Arkawa. But we do know this. They had been dead for quite some time. There was essentially mummification for Arakawa on her body, and they're trying to use information from Hackman's pacemaker to kind of time it out. But they're guessing it was several days, maybe as many 10 days that they have been deceased before they were found. Of course, they were found because of a wellness check from people that work around the house, people that work around them, people in the neighborhood. Hadn't seen them doing very much, hadn't had any calls to fix anything, to do anything around the house, around the residence. And so they were checking. Some maintenance folks came in, saw the door was ajar, saw the bodies, called 911, and then the search began for the cause of death. We are going to find out sooner or later, probably more later than sooner, what exactly happened. But we do know that it was quite a bit of time between the passing of Hackman, his wife, and their one dog. The other two dogs were found fine on the property. No external trauma, no carbon monoxide poisoning, no real issue going forward. Nothing was stolen, but the door was ajar. Right now the biggest questions are prescription medications around his wife, scattered around her body, and that's all they got to go on right now. Everyone that can find some information on this is on this one. If CEI Santa Fe is all over this one trying to figure things out, so we will know because people want to know answers. Of course, Hackman had, of course, as we've said many times the past couple of days, retired from acting, hadn't done anything serious in 20 years. But for generations of folks, he is a stalwart. He is an icon, and he got a big love and effective push from last night at the Academy Awards last night, possibly, of course. We shall see how that plays going forward and what we'll do with the answers to this, hopefully sooner, most likely later. I don't know what I did right to get this, but you guys want to talk John Cena. We're talking John Cena, the heel turn before WrestleMania. As let me tell you personally how this got into this. I was out with a family function throughout the day. I've been on a fast, if you will, of WWE since late December because I was trying to work out some time stuff. Because of this, I'm going back to it. But I watched the last premium live events because I watched them come up there. I watched the Royal Rumble. John Cena didn't win. I watched this one because I just kind of lucked and found it was today. We were at the event late, so I got home and started watching it post-delayed from beginning to end. I was able to watch the winning by John Cena of the Elimination Chamber match. Then I went to go look for an article because Real Sports covers this to put it out there for the feeds for the next day, and got the spoiler that he actually turned and joined The Rock and turned on Cody Rhodes. Now, the quick scenario, so we don't go too long on this one, John Cena won the Elimination Chamber. It's a big old gated fence, a big old just chain link fence type structure that 6 people have to fight into, with 4 of them locked in some plastic pods coming out at random intervals to make it more interesting. So not 6 at a time, they come out in random spots. John Cena wins the event. That means he is going to go to WrestleMania against Cody Rhodes. The winner of the Royal Rumble picked the other guy to fight for WrestleMania. That's how that works out. But at the end, as he's celebrating, they take a really long time to play the highlights, whatever. They raised up the thing. John Cena's out there celebrating with the crowd because he's going to retire in about 10 months. This is his last run. That's why WrestleMania is a big thing. One last shot to beat that last time and overthrow Ric Flair to have the most championships ever. That what was teased to be earlier in the show, but actually ended up being late in the show, either for a change or to sort of save this little bit of major issue here so it can happen sort of organically. Cody Rhodes comes out, and of course Cena's, 2 baby faces shake hands, said, "I'm gonna face you in WrestleMania. This is great." The Rock comes out with Travis Scott for some reason because The Rock has offered up Cody Rhodes a chance to be The Rock's champion. The Rock has now turned heel, and he is the final boss. He has ownership in TKO and WWE, and he wants Cody Rhodes to work for him, much like the corporation back in the day. So The Rock has offered up championship rights for, having his soul. Cody Rhodes tells the crowd, "My soul does not belong to me. My soul belongs to these people." Crowd cheers. Yay! Travis Scott and John Cena are back sitting in a corner, literally sitting on the corner of the ring, just kind of like, wow, this is awesome. This is cool. And of course, because we're going to have this dream match with the good guy and the good guy, they embrace. And then, in the greatest bit of cinema ever, you get that face. The face we used for the teaser graphic, the face where they're hugging, and you see this grim face on John Cena as he's hugging his friend Cody Rhodes, who's turning to The Rock, who does the kill sign / throat sign. And what happens? Low blow, beat down. John Cena and Travis Scott, who I guess also needs a heel turn, are beating down Cody Rhodes. They hold him down so that The Rock can take off his weight belt and beat down some Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is left bleeding. John Cena is left doing the heel, standing over the victim with the WWE Championship belt. They walk out together. The heels, The Rock, the final boss, heel turn John Cena, and Travis Scott for some reason, who I think is still wearing the A minor. Yeah, it's all there. So this is something that was unexpected. This is something they hid for a while. The fact that John Cena was teased to be at WrestleMania had a lot of people in the memes as they were expecting the Cody Rhodes heel turn so he can fight off John Cena just to be sure. It didn't turn out that way. People were expecting Peacemaker, as John Cena plays Peacemaker in the DC Heroverse, versus a bad Cody Rhodes, who'd basically be Homelander because he's got the blonde hair. We still get Homelander versus Peacemaker, but Peacemaker actually turns bad, and Homelander is nice and charitable. We're going to see. WrestleMania coming up in a few months, so 41 will be a big deal in Vegas. The stakes are high as they're raising the stakes on who may be there. Rumor has it that they'll bring out Stone Cold and Steve Austin to be a part of this actual match to make it even bigger, even better for the exit of John Cena. We want to salute John Cena for all the stuff he's done as an artist, movies and stuff. Those will keep going. Stuff he's done in the ring, and for being he holds the record for most Make-A-Wish Foundation appearances for people. And the only person who may actually break that record right now, who's more popular at the moment because he's an active wrestler, Cody Rhodes. Let's talk about the girls. Let's hear it for the ladies. On Friday, we gave you the article about the women, the all-women flight for Blue Origin going into space. It's something that's never happened before. Definitely never happened in the privatized, the militarized, that's not a word, air flight we have from NASA. And in privatization, first time happening, all 5 women, all 5 crew members of Blue Origin are women, and women of stature, including a bunch of journalists and Jeff Bezos' girlfriend. Here's where the women are showing that they have earned the right to the spotlight, earned the right to the big lights and the bright lights, where the next matchups between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky, the next matchups you'll have between the Reese and the Clark battles back and forth, are going big time, bigger spaces. The Chicago Sky will host 2 home games against the Indiana Fever at the United Center this season, making the first time a WNBA game will be played in the 31-year-old arena. Games are scheduled for June the 7th and July 27th, so make sure you get your tickets for there. And that's a big deal because, more tickets will be available in the larger stadium, larger arena, and showing that women's basketball ain't going nowhere. It aims to capitalize on the rivalry between these two, Angel Reese and Kaitlan Clark. They have battled each other in college. They had a good time last year going against each other, and had a great time playing on the same All-Star team, which was amazing. But the United Center is home to the Chicago Bulls and the NHL's Chicago Blackhawks. They have a seating capacity of 20,000. The Windthrust Arena only has 10. Double the seats, double the fun, double the love for women's basketball. The Sky's management are expressing main enthusiasm for the larger fan base to be for this one. Now, they do know that they can't fill the dome up, can't fill the place up for everything. So that's why it's a special event. It's a really special event. We'll see how things go through. So sign up, get the Ticketmaster. Might as well get there now because it's going to take a long time for them to figure it out. But tickets don't go on sale until March 11th. So get ready as the season, believe it or not, women's season is coming up faster than you think. At the wrap-up of college basketball, essentially the women's season begins, and then we'll have some actual random men's stuff playing. But the men still play throughout the summer until this happens as well. Get in early, get in often, get you some seats, and see these 2 ladies show off as they do and show out as they will for a larger crowd in Chi-Town. And finally, our 10th story for the day has Harry Styles, because he's famous, impressing the Tokyo Marathon folks, and he won the hearts and minds, and won by beating over 20,000 runners in the actual lineup. So he's actually fairly good. He finished in 3 hours, 24 minutes, 7 seconds, placing 6,010th out of 26,706. That means he outpaced 20,000 people in this actual race. Congratulations, Harry Styles. let's get boring. Let's get technical. Let's get the real deal that you runners want to know about. He actually had a very consistent pace for this one, nearly identical split times for each half. 1 hour, 42 minutes, and 3 seconds. 1 hour, 42 minutes, and 4 seconds. Basically, literally split down the middle. So basically the whole time at the same pace. And it shows discipline. It shows the regimen he did it. He had basically ran a regular 6 to 11-mile runs throughout London while building up for this one. The 31-year-old artist was spotted wearing all black attire, paired with bright yellow Nike shoes. He did not wear a dress, did not wear a funky suit. He just wore running stuff and went out there. This is a bit of a break as he's coming from a little bit of a lull off his Love on Tour tour. So that's happening there. Getting a chance to do something a bit for himself and for the fans, if you will. But those who love them some Harry Styles and love them some marathons, the two came together as one beautiful show for this past weekend. That wraps up the headlines part. 10 headlines for today, 8 for the rest of the week. We'll tell you about that in a second. But this is a dialogue. This is conversation. This is us talking back and forth, not a monologue. So in order to make that happen, what we do is the stories you just heard or read or saw, if depending on how you're getting this, are chosen by you, or at least given a chance to be chosen with a input from you. We post news articles every 50 minutes on Facebook and X. On Facebook.com/thisisconversationproject, X.com/TH_conversation. Those spots are where we have our feeds, and we allow you to tell us what stories should be talked about. What stories are conversational? We don't just take a list of trending stories and go with it and hope we get what everyone else is talking about. Because it's not about what everyone else is talking about. It's what you guys actually want to chit chat, what you guys want to do. It's that simple. So throughout the day, check your feeds. Like, love, hate, comment, reply, share, engage with the story. We literally look at things, stories, engagement numbers, and go from there. We took Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a teeny bit of Monday and gave you the 10 stories you have here from the top 30 stories of the weekend. For the rest of the week, we'll give you 8 stories. And we'll give 8 stories from the top 15 stories, about 30 in a day, that seem the best to us after you say what stories are the best in general. Now, if we don't get the right ones, don't hit the right note, email me, comment, let me know if we should have talked about something else. Maybe it's a story we actually didn't put out there because whatever reason. Sometimes we put things out a little too early and then it become big stories everyone's talking about. So it's like, why aren't you talking about this? Well, we talked about it 2 weeks ago and no one cared about it. So there it is. Now, the story we are hyping at the moment is a Musk story. It is a Doge story. It is essentially a Trump story. As Musk is calling Social Security a Ponzi scheme, sparking debate with the Dems who want to save it, or everyone wants to save it. This is a third rail issue that if you touch it, it will kill you. Like the third rails on a train track. It's the electric rail that if you touch it, you will electrocute, you basically die instantly. That's what we have here. And Musk is calling it, Social Security, a Ponzi scheme. And he's causing more fights with other people because that's what he does. He is the massive troll that he is. Just go with that. Just go with that. Now, do you want to talk this story up and you want to complain about Social Security being a Ponzi scheme as a person who probably won't get any? I can see where he's coming from. Or do you want to talk other stories? It's up to you. You just talk about whatever. Well, we will talk about what you want to talk about, hopefully, by you engaging the stories and telling us what 15, 16 top half stories for today are worthy of talking about. We'll pick 8 of those, and we'll see if we go with that one. Now, Friday, we teased more layoffs, with layoffs going to the National Weather Association, NOAA, the agency that oversees hurricane and the weather service. As we go into weather issues, we're not talking about it today. It did not get the love, did not get the respect. It did not get the numbers. It just wasn't there. That was one we thought would get enough to be in the range, not even close to being in range. So it happens. We have over 90 stories in a weekend, and we have to pick from 30 to get 10. So it is what it is. So you want to talk Musk and Ponzi schemes, that is Social Security. So says him. Every 50 minutes or so, look into the feed, see what we're talking about, engage in those stories. Look for this one. Make sure it gets your engagement so it lasts all day long. A little bit of inside baseball, ironic because we talk baseball today. We were going to start setting up some promotions for some new stuff the More Better Media brand is doing, and it was a busy weekend. There was a lot of things happening. It's not being a busy week. I have a lot. So in my real life, I have my real job at university, which is logistics, which is operations, which is IT, and the job that people think is my job, which is producing stuff like this. We have a week full of great things to do for this being Ash Wednesday, this being the beginning of Lenten season. So we have a lot of programs. So I'm doing a lot of producing this week. So I would set up for that and the normal stuff happening and trying to get these new things going. Did not have enough time to actually produce the slides, the media readouts, the actual promos for those things. So there may come this week, may come next week. We may have to cheat and do some things we're already doing. That doesn't matter because we can talk about ground news any time of the week, any time of the day, just whenever it pops up. I talk about ground news to people in general. I talked about ground news to people at this party I was at as a source I use for news stuff. Ground news is a way to get beyond the headlines and beyond your actual headlines from your silo. Uncover where your news comes from so get a better picture of what's happening with your news itself. Unbiased perspective means finding out what the perspective of other people's are, and that way you get both sides. You still get your side that's biased, but you get other people's biased sides as well. That makes sense? Global, local, and national news is all covered. If there's a story out there, you're going to see what's being covered. Ground news will highlight some stories that are missing from other news outlets that you might have overlooked because you're in a certain silo or watch a certain brand and they want to say stuff. And they have a blind spot feature that shows you what different political leanings are showing or ignoring on purpose, and you can form your own opinion on those thoughts going forward. Now, sometimes they're minor stories that they want to take a little bit and one side may want to just blow it up because they want to make it look big. Sometimes it's things that are kind of big that the other side just wants to sort of ignore going forward. The blind spot helps with that one. The format is easy to read to see what's going on, side-by-side comparisons to the actual headlines and the sources. Who owns the source? Who owns that venue? Where they lean and where they cover in other stories. It's that simple. And they're offering you right now 40% off their all-inclusive Vantage plan. That is all the news that you can basically take in. It's like the water hose. It's like old school days of drinking out of the water hose. You can do it again, except with news. And you can do that with a deal from us. Use our affiliate link. This is theconversationproject.com/ground news. This is theconversationproject.com/ground news. This affiliate link, so we get a small commission for bringing you in the door. But we appreciate the love that you're bringing to all of us as news nerds to ground news itself. We use this one daily to check out different stories and sometimes mix up the headlines with the stories because we do that. But we're fans. We pay for it. You should be a fan and also pay for ground news. Conversation Project lives online at this. It's theconversationproject.com, our online home for stuff. Find all our stuff there. Old shows, links to other places to find us and new shows, links to our other sponsors, links to our partnership page so you can find ways to actually partner up directly with us, and links to our origin story, which oddly enough doesn't necessarily change, but we sort of update every so often because I think, let's rewrite this thing because, boredom. So check out what we got going on there. Everything you're looking for about us is there. You can also do the most important thing and just follow us on our feeds. Find links to our feeds there as well. But as I've told you earlier, we're on Facebook. We're on X. Look for The Conversation Project. You'll find us. And follow us as every 50 minutes or so we post news articles for you to engage in to help us get what we're talking about. Plus, email me, theconversationinbox@gmail.com so we know that we're talking the same language. Sometimes we're not, which gets interesting at times. That does it for this Monday, March the 3rd, 2025. I am Jay Cleveland Payne. Thank you so much for being with us for the show today. A little bit long, a little winded. We're working on that one, but we are doing what we can as we're working through some kinks with some technology. Live to tape is the way it's going to go these days, so I can't react to you in real time as this program is live on X, on Facebook, on YouTube. But give me your comments anyway. Tell me where you're from. You're watching on the replay. Tell me where you're from, how you're listening to it, and what we do for you in the news-wise, and what stories we probably should have did. Because when we know what stories we should have did, we can max them out. Like, share, and subscribe to join us in the great news nerd nation of folks. And have a great day. Enjoy a Monday, folks. That's all we got. It may have been the longest 2 months in history, but hey, we've got 10 more months to get through in real time. So let's do it. Stay limber, stay hydrated, stay on task for all the grand things you're doing. This is a marathon. Don't make it a sprint. Love you. Mean it. We are out.